really recalling year 2012, you start to understand that artists are able to unite and they want to unite, responding to social and political events in the world surrounding them. But street activities and street exhibits happen not only due to some protest motives, and in this sense it's quite an interesting story, which I hope we'll hear now. Well, the story of a phantom exhibition from St. Petersburg, and here's Mikhail Zaikanov, who came here to tell us about this story. Hello everyone, I am Zaikanov. I'm a Moscow artist, well, but due to circumstance live currently in St. Petersburg, and I came here to tell you about one exhibition, but I'll start with a different event which happened the year before the one I have in mind. So that was my first experience, a kind of a self-organized exhibition on purely horizontal level among the artists with no budget whatsoever. Idea was very simple. It was last summer, and at that time there was a manifesto event going in St. Petersburg, like lots of different exhibitions, and just against the background of this Baroque abundance, we wanted to make something small scale, very simple, maybe even ironic, but without budget, and very plainly horizontally organized. And then I recalled a great, brilliant idea which we discussed in the school of Rodchenko with Stasi Rugavich some time ago, so under the title of Dacha Exhibition. So the idea was very simple. In Russia there's some natural cause of developments. Well, firstly we have a refrigerator in the kitchen working, then it moves to the balcony, then it's moved over and transferred to the dacha where it lives last years of his existence. So I thought maybe that's the same natural life cycle of artwork. So I had lots of work which I had shown and my friends had shown for possible exhibition, then were rejected by some official institutions, and now, like that old air conditioners, they're just living till the end of their age. And so I suggested to my friends to make such an exhibition, to bring together the works which they made a long time ago, exhibited or not, and in the format, well, in the barn, among the trees, well, to arrange such an exhibit. But to bring pictures, just to bring them straight forward, then just nail them on the walls, not very interesting. So we thought it would be interesting to be followed by some kind of excursion and stories from the artists, why they kept and preserved these works, if it was ever exhibited or not. Thus, it was kind of exposing certain horizontal connections and demonstrating, well, life process. So, well, a little poster which I had done, we didn't print it, we simply just distributed by internet. Well, it says that excursion starts at 6:30 p.m. at the platform of the university. Later on, well, all the visitors were following the path leading to our dacha where we stayed. And, well, the works were exhibited along the path and also on the plot of land. I was really surprised for how many people came to visit us. Well, just people of St. Petersburg and also, visitors of Manifesto festival. And here you see a noticeable, modest moment of this exhibition. So you see in the background on the barn, on the side, well, a very big canvas is exhibited, kind of abstract. It was painted by my friend Abashin many years ago when he was still a student at the art college. He lived in a very small room, very narrow, probably 2 meters wide at the widest point. So he worked as an exhibitor of posters, so to prove that he is not just somebody, not a messenger, but an artist. Well, he glued together these posters, hung them on the wall, and started experimenting with abstract painting. So since the room was very small, he couldn't step back to look at his work from distance. So here on our Duchess plot of land, that was the first chance, first opportunity for him to see his work from a proper distance. But then, as you see on the slide, it's Vlad Kulkov, well, a St. Petersburg abstract painter, artist, probably many of you know of him. And before that, he was more involved in video art and other things. But then, once coming to Pasha's apartment and seeing this beautiful thing, he was also kind of, inspired and started, working in an abstract manner. So you see, it's kind of a very amazing interaction which kind of came up to surface during the discussion of this exhibition. Also, you see a few more slides, and a person in the straw hat, Sasha Belov, and a painter from St. Petersburg, also an abstract painter, well, very big size, 2 by 3 meters. After that, he's cutting them like collages and mixing them for exhibitions. So it turns out to be a very kind of pastel painting, but not fixed in the frame, and every time exhibiting different way, different combinations. And then during our show, he asked for a ladder and started, rehanging them and changing on the way. And now I will move on to the Phantom exhibition, and you see this red curve on the slide is just showing just the route of our movements or locations. So the idea was quite simple, an exhibition in the urban environment, and here we had several deriving kind of starting points. First, Petersburg is quite divided in terms of, artistic milieu. Well, we have some kind of a left wing, shuffle, well, social, well, the parasites, well, parasite union, well, and that's, so there are lots of different groupings of artists which are not united, and I think, considering that, we need this kind of horizontal connecting project, because thus we are creating dialogues, and due to their convictions and beliefs, but like to proper just knowing each other, well, there is not very close communication. So that was the idea, somehow. So I asked the artists, to create the works, reflecting the urban environment in early June, and then they had to stay there, and only a month after, in first days of July, there was an excursion just around the exhibits of these works, and that was going along this route, one shown the Rhine, and so the visitors who really followed the whole route was gratified in the end of this trip. He understood that he got something that otherwise was impossible to see. And then Sasha Belov was the plastics. Nice to get the first release, What to Do. Mikhail Zaikanov, I don't know. Oliver Zubov was a photographer. Reportage photographer Igor Banin from the Parasites groups. So, as you see, people from totally different art groups. And another important thing for this exhibition was the preparation phase. Well, it was arranged on Vasilevsky, Vasilevsky and St. Petersburg. Before we started hanging the works, we had lots of, walks around with artists. It was important because in the process we were meeting, getting to know each other, and so we walked around. You see us with Ilya Orlov looking at the map. Well, there was a lot of fun. It was summer, and And we had about 5 or 6 walls like this, and then the artists were, mantling their works, installing their work in the urban environment. And when at the opening we were all meeting at the Primorska metro station, well, naturally I came there first with my friend, and then I look around, I see no people at all, nobody is there yet. But okay, I say, well, we had noted this event on the Facebook. I thought maybe in the best scenario we'll have 3 or 5 persons, and then suddenly within 15 minutes the whole plaza before the metro station was filled up, with lots of people, familiar, unfamiliar faces, well, including artists, then friends of friends, just Stas Savitsky, Pasha Gersimenko, all of them, shown up there. Quite a lot of people. And from there we started to our walk. And since we hung out, well, part of our works end of June, and since it was a long walk, taking about 4 hours, well, starting with 7 people and ending up with about 40. And that was a big, surprise for me, because I thought, well, there might be just no more than 5 artists, but in the first lap there was a lot of people, and mostly, well, in this first lap it was Ilya Dolgov's posters. So probably the one you see now is probably one of my favorite works from this exhibition, which was called A Field of Wonders. Very simple and very fine work. My friend just glued up 8 white sheets of paper on the wall, just simple blank white sheets, but on the other side he wrote something, a word in glue, and glued it. And if you tear off the shield there, you'll see the word, which was hiding on the back side. And the word was Parmesan, or Parmigiano cheese. So he got a lot of applause. It was funny and wonderful. So, as I said, we walked around Vasilevsky Ostrov, lots of people, a big group, and we want to cover as much area as possible. And we kind of created the situation, just project situation, when the exhibition is taking place in a cafe, and we placed graphic works by Ilya Orlov in this donut outlet by the metro station. And I really thought, passing by once, that it would be a good place for exposing some graphic works. I spoke with the sales girl, with the shop assistant, and they said okay. So before they had, the reproductions of, Russian classics like Shishkin, and nearby we had the Hungary graphic works of Ilya. And another important thing to mention, since this exhibition was not announced and promoted well before the discussion, so it was happening in a way that when we approached a certain point where artist had his work exhibited, he was telling his story, how it was all put together and mental, and we also put a tag of his name and titles of the works. And once this sticker was glued up, it was immediately torn away by the by local security, and naturally, well, you see that photojournalists got quite active, fixing this stirrup. So, as I said, well, the works were very different kind, and I think that Igor Panin had installed a very lyrical installation on which he worked for several days, but unfortunately he couldn't completely follow the scheme which he designed, so he hung up the pants or trousers very high on the tree, and under it, well, next to the cross, he put girls or ladies, shoes. and it was all called Seek and Find game. So, well, another interesting that all of the artists could be present, so we called them on the telephone because we want to connect them to the audience. And particularly with Igor Panin also was, contacted by the telephone, and as you see, people are grouping there because I put, the loudspeaker on my phone, and everybody's grouping around, listening quietly. And that was a great moment. I really was anxious if it's going to work out or not. That's another work, you see. And perhaps a very important and interesting experience for me personally was the fact that I took part in, installation work and we did it in the daytime. And I was, frankly speaking, worried that we might have some, conflict with security guards, some passers-by, but it didn't happen. So a funny thing, when we were gluing up, putting on the wall 3 applications, 3 addresses from Romas Minkin, St. Petersburg, so it was, we were gluing it to a nice, very neat fence on the Sredny Prospect and Vasilevsky Osтрov with lots of people passing by, and suddenly we see a security guard coming out from behind the corner, and he's coming up to us and said, "Okay, what are we doing here?" We're saying we're just doing some art here, gluing up papers at the back. And he's taking a look. Okay, a poet. Okay. When you start walking, don't pass by the camera. Just walk around it. Don't get in the scope. So it turned out there were no complications. And when we were also putting on the wall the work of Nastya, portraits of very bureaucratic square heads. Well, we also were doing it in the bright daylight, so passers-by just were passing and looking at this and having a lot of fun. And this slide is the final of the whole event, so where everybody sees at the documentation of initial works. Well, I think that was the project, and that's all the story I wanted to tell. Thank you.